Hello, folks. This is Lonzo, the president of the Council Entertainment Chamber of Commerce and the editor for the Hub City Legend newspaper. And we do this every chance we get. We bring people to the community and let them discuss their updates and various issues. And this is one of the ladies who is the lady who runs the Lincoln Cemetery in Compton, California. And she has some updates and some changes and some other things she wants to share with y'all today. And I'm gonna give her a platform to make that happen. Aisha Woods, how you doing, baby?
I'm doing fine, Mr. Alonzo, and thank you to your audience. Hello, everyone.
You know, the cemeteries on Greenleaf has been a conversation for quite some time. And you run the Lincoln Cemetery, right?
Absolutely, as a community volunteer.
My
And
question now, wait, but I know my other girl, the Celestine's story. What's your story? Why would you want to volunteer to run a cemetery?
well, it actually happened in 2023. I saw a Channel 7 news report on the cemetery being closed, like the gates were being locked. And so I was surprised because me and my father had just came from there maybe a week prior. So to see a gentleman who wasn't able to, come in the not only the gates were locked, but no one was able to call through. I came the next day, and as I came, there was a lot of people who seen the same Channel 7 interview. And I met a woman by the name of Valerie Holyfield and another woman by the name of Felicia Jones. And so they also have loved ones in Lincoln. So Valerie Holyfield said that when she saw the news, she went to Carson City Hall to see what they knew about it. And she said that they told her that they knew nothing about it, but they do have a meeting, which was going to be August 7th, 2nd, which was their stated meeting. So when we heard that news, and we met each of those ladies that I mentioned, we met that first day. We never met before. We never seen each other in the cemetery before, just casually visiting or any of that. So we said we need to get the community together to really press the issue on this cemetery because the gates were locked. We didn't know when we were going to see our loved ones again. And then at that time, there was a lot of people who were hopping the fence, and it's like, this is disrespectful. So that whole week, we collected names. We had to figure out what the story was. That was my main thing. My main thing was, what was the story? What happened? What was wrong? So at week's end, we found out that the owner of the cemetery had his third stroke, and that's why he closed it. He didn't abandon it. He closed it. Then later information that came down, he before his third stroke, he asked the cemetery funeral bureau to put a manager there. And so they said they couldn't just place a manager there. They have to there has to be one assigned, and it takes a process. But to go and ask another cemetery if you would like to have someone there. So in that process, he had his third stroke. So when I found out that information, I said, you know what? We need to do something. We got to make sure that this is open for the public. And not only that, because of his past, I made a promise to my mother who was buried there that I will protect her.
Okay.
So that has been my driving force, is to protect my mother. And as I've been a community volunteer, I've met so many other families. And so that has been my drive.
Okay.
I'm driven to protect everyone there and other cemeteries.
Had to get the backstory. Had to have the
Yes.
back. Now, what's the current situation at Lincoln Cemetery?
So the current situation right now is that we finally have a cemetery manager who was assigned. He was assigned March 7th. The office is not open just yet. They still have to um he still has to get acclimated to the office to see, what he's able to do. His name is Mr. Juan Martinez. And we are having a community volunteer day, which we have every second Saturday of each month. And he will be there tomorrow.
Okay.
So it will be a small meet and greet for him, so the community can talk to him, meet who see who he is, and meet him. So he will be there at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Our cleanup is from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Okay. The, did Lincoln have the same issues that the cemetery across the street had? People still in the headstones.
Yes. And so I hope that I can bring a long story to a short story. Sorry, I'm trying to get into my camera. Okay, so from February of 2024 all the way to August of 2024, we have been hit by thieves. A lot of the um, headstones have been taken, and some of these headstones are of veterans. Also the mausoleum, a lot of the name plaques. A matter of fact, it was 100+ name plaques that are were taken from the cemetery. Also the monument, not the monument, but the statue of the plaque. It's a large plaque of what Joe Louis had dedicated in 1949 himself in person. Was also taken, including water spigots and other types of pipes. So when Mr. Mitz closed his cemetery, everything was paid up, everything was current, and all of the functions like water and all of those were top tier, meaning that all we had to do was just turn on the water. But because of the thieves, it's going to be some work. But yes, we were ransacked. But because of my efforts, because I've spoken to Congresswoman Nadine Barragan, we were able, and also a detective by the name of Christopher Gentler, we were able to get, I think they are called the police, they're called the LVN. You may have seen these type of cameras maybe in
Oh yeah, yeah,
like Ralph's parking lot. Yes,
yeah.
we
Okay.
have three of them. Yes, and they go directly to the sheriff stations, and we have not had any thievery since October, since they have been put in place since last year of October.
It has to be a special place in hell for somebody who steals plaques off a dead man's grave.
Absolutely.
Those are brass, right? They're all
They are
brass,
copper. I mean, no, they are bronze. I'm sorry.
bronze. Okay,
Hmm.
so they do have scrap value.
Yes. So what we, and when I say we, this is including the information from what Detective Gentler was telling me, is that it's kind of like a crime ring. So for the thieves, when they get the bronze headstones or bronze plates, those they'll get $450 a piece for how many that they gathered. Then the person that's receiving them will get 1,000, and then whoever they ship it off to, then they'll get more money for it. So when you're taking 5, 6, 7 headstones from veterans from World War I, Buffalo Soldiers, several different prize type of possessions to the family, you're getting $450 a walk for those. So and then imagine for months we have been getting these headstones taken. So yeah, the value of taking them is more than the value of them, the actual material, which is, I feel, is not fair. And I think that's why a lot of different cemeteries and different places like in Redondo Beach has had to protect their bronze as well.
Wow. Again, it's a special place in hell for y'all. Okay.
Hello.
Is any of them memory place?
No, not yet. I'm actually working on that. So, as far as the veteran headstones, I have been talking to Congresswoman Barragan, Miss Natalie Barragan, and I should be having a meeting soon for between me, the new manager, and the VA, because I've been working hard all last year to try to figure out who can I talk to the VA. Now, I am also working on trying to see how I can replace the headstones for people who are not veterans, but they chose that particular respectful medal as their headstones. It's getting a little difficult because some of the families have either moved away, but I'm still working on it, and I'm trying to see how I can be able to either raise money or have the city pay for those. I have not figured that out yet, but the VA, I should be having a meeting soon with them. But I would like to also mention, if it's okay with your listeners and yourself, is that we now have a Miss Laura Richardson, Senator Laura Richardson, has proposed a bill called 777 for the California cemetery. It's a California cemetery bill. And so on April 2nd, which was my birthday, I was able to go to Sacramento and represent Lincoln Cemetery as to testify in order to get this bill to Senate. So I had to go to the board, and so it was seven board members, and so we had a vote of 6-1. So we are going to Washington with this Senate bill. And
Okay.
I pray that I can maybe possibly leave some information with on my Facebook page and also with you to promote the bill.
Okay.
But
Now,
it's called Assembly Bill 777, and it's the California Cemetery Bill. So if anybody would like to actually read the bill in its entirety, you can look up that number and look up California Cemetery in your Google box. Yeah.
shout out to the 6 people who voted for it, and I don't understand why the seventh one didn't make it unanimous. I don't understand what that was.
Right.
What kind of what are you thinking about? Anyway, I'm not gonna focus on the negativity, but I do have to mention it. Because something like that should have been a 7-0 vote. But again, people
Yeah.
have their own way of doing things. Um,
Mhm.
what's the next plan for the cemetery?
The next plan is to continue the community volunteer days because it's bringing the community to our cemetery. Also, I'm still in the works of talking to Mr. Martinez so I can understand a better plan that he has for the cemetery. But when he is able to give a definite date when the office will be open, it will bring the community together and that's not what I meant to say. I apologize. He will be opening the office in order for families to find, to just like any other cemetery, um, like say for instance, if you were in Inglewood and you wanted to find your plot, you'll go to the office. Well, they will have that same function. I don't have a definite date as to that, but that's another reason to come this Saturday so you can kind of meet him and ask that question. He can have a better clarity than I can, but we definitely have a manager. He is definitely there. There will be maintenance to our cemetery, not only through due to the community, but also due to Mr. Martinez. Um, Also, there will be a announcement through Assemblyman Mike Gibson of the meeting. Because there's a lot of information. There's a lot of things that I actually did last year, contacting all of these Congress people and senators. And so there's so many meetings that are catching up in order for the public to know that when they can also uh, have knowledge of when the office is open. I'm also a person of contact. So my number is very public. And anyone who has any questions or if they want me to help you find your loved one, you can definitely give me a call or know further dates for our cleanups.
Drop your number.
Yes, it is. My number is 213-352-0766. And also my email is Aisha, Aisha, the number 3, Woods at gmail.com if you would like to drop an email.
Okay.
But yes, I look forward to so many people coming out tomorrow. I really, really, really hope that you guys were able to see and meet our new manager.
Now, who pays the manager?
The manager will get paid by the Cemetery and Funeral Bureau. That will be in part of the endowment.
Okay.
So the endowment itself is not that large, but it's enough to maintain our cemetery.
Okay.
Which kind of brings me up to one other point. I also have a nonprofit called the Margie L. Woods Foundation, and it's for the perpetual care of cemeteries and philanthropy, also the history. So, in keeping up with history of our cemetery, because this is actually a historic cemetery for Los Angeles.
Now, technically, it's in Carson, though, right?
It was annexed to Carson in 1969, but it has two addresses. So
Does it?
originally it's Compton, but if you look it up, it will be considered Carson because it was annexed. So in 1969, that's when Carson became incorporated, and so there were several residents in Compton who wanted to be part of Carson. So the owner of Lincoln at that time, his name was Jules Ross, wanted to become part of Carson. So that's why it was annexed in 1969.
Okay. You know your history. Look at you.
Mhm.
You know your
Yes, because
history. Okay. I ain't mad at you, baby.
Mhm. Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
Woodline. Is it Woodline across the street?
Yes, Celestial Gardens. Woodlawn. That's what she renamed it.
Okay. They're not connected. Most people think they're connected.
No, they're not connected. Woodlawn Cemetery was actually created in 1871. It is the oldest cemetery in Los Angeles. If you Google like the oldest cemetery in Los Angeles, they'll point you to Evergreen, which was built in 1877. But actually, it's Woodlawn,
Wow.
1871.
So Compton,
Lincoln, uh-huh.
Compton has
Yes.
two cemeteries.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the last part.
Compton has two cemeteries.
Yes. And so Lincoln Cemetery, the one that I represent, it was built in 1934 and it was created by an African American woman by the name of Irene Morris. Irene Morris is the sister-in-law of Paul R. Williams. So I don't have it as a fact, but I do know that it's a truth that the architect Paul R. Williams and Irene Morris have built a lot of works in Compton, and I believe that Lincoln is one of his works. So, like I said, I have the truth, but I don't have it in fact yet because a lot of his work was actually burned down in the '92 riots.
Mm.
So I'm still trying to get those paperwork to see if he actually drew the plans of Lincoln. But Lincoln is the first cemetery in LA County not only to be managed and created by African American women, but actually created for the purposes of all nationalities, all races, including Black people first, to be buried in dignity. So when you look into the park, that's why it has so many trees. All of these stones are flat because the atmosphere is supposed to be of joy. That was the purpose of the cemetery being streamlined at that time or considered modern. It's also in the style um, of the adobos or the missions because the land itself was Dominguez land.
Okay.
So if you heard of the Dominguez family, it was
Right.
a Dominguez land. We do have a couple of Dominguezes buried there, but other than that, it was meant for African Americans to be buried in dignity because also at that time there weren't any places for us to be buried. We couldn't be buried in Inglewood. We couldn't be buried because of restrictions. And then there was a lot of Latino people who weren't able to be buried in this cemetery, I mean, at Inglewood as well. We have a group of, I didn't know, just real quick, I didn't know how far back the Samoan community was in Compton until I started researching. So
Okay.
Blacks and Samoans were in Compton for a very long time, like in the 1800s, and I didn't realize that. But researching the history of the cemetery, I found that there was a lot of community when it opened.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Again,
hmm
this sounds like some schoolhouse rock of cemeteries.
Yes, yes.
All right. Anything else you want to share with us, darling?
Yes, I would like to share that. I think that it's extremely important for the history to be continued to be well known. I know that Lincoln has had a dark past because of the owner Jules Ross, who's now passed away. Um, and because of that blight, um, a lot of people still have a lot of heartache because of the situation that happened in '95. But I want to tell people that I myself experienced that situation, including my parents. My father is still here, but my mother is gone. And for the thieves to come and do the same thing, stealing headstones and things like of that nature, I want to bring joy back into the cemetery. The joy that I remember from visiting family members who I knew that was buried there, and also at Woodline, which are not connected. I want to let the community know that I am doing my best, and I will continue to do my best to advocate for our cemetery and for several other cemeteries. Again, I have developed the Margie L. Woods Foundation, which is a nonprofit for this reason, and I want to let them know that I am not biased. I'm gonna make sure that things are done right. You know, I actually commend all of the Congress people that I've spoke to, and including the sheriffs of Carson that have helped me out thus far. But again, I'm gonna continue to do my best, with the help of the community, to make sure that our cemetery is secure.
That's
And that is my spiel. But like I said, my number is 213-352-0766. I am an open book. I will try my best to continue to keep our family safe.
has anybody been caught yet? These headstones.
Actually, one person has gotten caught, and the frustrating thing is that once these people are caught, they are let go. But because this particular person was caught with a headstone from Lincoln, they connected him. He spent like at least a week in jail. I haven't been able to find if he was charged formally or if they let him go since that week. But that was way in October of last year. Yes. So the frustrating thing about these thieves, because the way, I guess, because the way the thefts are, and if they only can get them with possession, and that's kind of like a slap on the wrist.
Right.
And that's the frustrating thing with these type of copper thieves. I mean bronze, because they're still in copper, bronze. What are those other catalytic converters? Oh yes, and that's what I wanted to mention. The reason why catalytic converters are so much is because of this so-called crime ring, because they're getting more than what the actual material is worth. That's why these things are willing to have guns on them, willing to have any type of weapons to protect themselves from people getting from them getting caught.
Mm.
We actually, yeah, and it come to mind. I'm glad you asked that question because it was July. No, no, no. It was August of last year. A gentleman by the name of JT. Because I also have security from there. People who have families and loved ones there. And I have them as security as well, including myself. I've actually spent time in the cemetery at night trying to catch them. I literally overnight. But that's another story. JT was happening to come down Central, and he happened to look over to the cemetery because he was going somewhere else. And this was a Saturday. He said he saw a large Latino guy with a jacket, no shirt, jeans. Right? He took the water hose of on the at the one of our water hose, a pallet, and he had six headstones on this pallet, dragging them to the fence. So when he saw him, that's when he pulled out his gun and he said, "Hey, you freeze!" And so the gentleman, ran towards Cardwell, and then we called the police. But he literally saw the gentleman dragging six headstones It was not 5, it was 6 headstones, and I have pictures of those. So
Wow.
they became that type of they had that type of boldness at that time. And so they did not catch him. But that's how bold they were becoming. They didn't care if it was in the morning, they didn't care if it was night. They didn't care. But since we had these cameras up, we have not had any thievery since October.
Okay. All right. That's work. That's a good thing. Yeah. All right, dear. It's been great talking to you. Thank you for connecting with me. Thank you for sharing the information. That's what we do here. Yes. We try to make it happen. Keep people informed of what's going on, baby.
Yes, thank you so much. And I hope to see a lot of you out there tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 1, community cleanup.
Thank you for all you do. All right, darling. Be good. All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care.